Time has come once again to speak as witches and wizards do. I am Daniel Dubois,
I'm Michaela Stone.
and we're your hosts for the Think Like a Wizard podcast. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 1, It's Magic.
I love that you keep track of those episode numbers. It's just so good.
Yeah, well, it also makes people ask questions when I post things out of turn, because sometimes the message is more important.
True.
But why is this episode called It's Magic? So, coming off of having the last episode be about power, Michaela and I have been doing some stuff. To borrow the sheepish term and use it, we've done a magic.
I'm so tempted to sort of do a wah thing.
Yes. Yeah. So this is probably one of the seasons a lot of people are probably looking forward to. They're talking about being witches and wizards, and we've only gotten one ritual out of the whole thing. Well, now going forward is time for magic, hence the title. And so Michaela and I did a magic that is going to unlock some magic for people. Some magic, some downloads, some new wisdom, stuff
Some
kept usually for this
synchronicities.
period. Is that, Michaela?
Some synchronicities.
Yes.
Because, boy, those things start happening thick and fast. At least that's my experience. And so, be ready. And this is always a caution, but be careful what you wish for and also what you focus on. Be very careful of your intention before you do anything.
Yes,
Because
because now is the time that you're likely to see results.
exactly. If you start doing things and your intention is muddy or less than clear and in the direction you want it to be in, if you have any ambiguity or mixed feelings, that will show in your results. So, practitioner beware.
Hmm, true. I want to say something dramatic like, a gate has opened and magic is stronger than it was before. But that's not a completely accurate statement. It's like our we casted a spell together. We did a what would you call it? Not a group spell because there's only two of us, but we labored together to cast the spell and we opened a gate. And this gate had wisdom for everyone. New things to know, new ways to do things. And I'm lacking words now.
So cast your mind back, dear listener, to the beginning of January, end of the first week of January, really. And think back to, did anything shift for you then? Did things start to change around that time? And have you noticed any new patterns emerging? Because as we talk about new downloads and wisdom coming in, it will already be happening. Can you see it is the question. And just consider the patterns can be really obvious. They can be more subtle, but they'll be there if you just consider.
Yes. I was going to say, since part of this video is going to be instructional, I'll throw it in now. Now is the time to get a grimoire. Or if you don't want to be as fancy as to have a grimoire, at least start taking notes. When you get inspired by something, when you feel certain things, or when you feel like actually when magic hits you or comes to you, start jotting down what you think, start jotting down what you see. who knows what you'll be introducing into the world from what you catch. So a grimoire should explain probably. Some of you aren't coming here as practitioners. Some of you are coming here just because you're awoken. And I guess we should then kind of hit some basics. I know we've talked about some stuff here and there, but so to do magic, basically spells and rituals are the way to formally ask for things of in the spiritual world, from material world to the spiritual world. This is your formal way of asking for things. And like we said before, you need an intention, preferably a clear intention. The clearer your intention, the better. You need the energy to produce the effect, and you need a spirit willing to do it. So you're making a formal request and you're sacrificing your own energy to do it. So you have to be clear in what you want to get the results you want, or the spirit will do its proximity to what it thinks you want, or what needs to be done, and you've kind of, in your desire, allowed it to happen.
And if you are someone who tends to think in the negative about things, if you tend to focus on what you don't want, then writing rather than doing is a good idea for you right
Mm.
now, because that language needs to change to the positive. It needs to change to what you do want, because negatives don't work anywhere other than verbally with people. Like, it doesn't work subconsciously, it doesn't work spiritually, doesn't work anywhere else. So if you say what you don't want, you'll get that thing. So that's an intention that needs to be clear. And I looked up grimoire just to see
Yeah.
what the definitions are,
Mhm.
because sometimes those can trip you up a bit. And the
Yes.
first thing I came across from Merriam-Webster was a magician's manual for invoking demons and the spirits of the
Uh,
dead. Well, no, I gotta say that's not strictly it.
hmm.
It is a textbook of magic, if you will, and it's your textbook of
Yes.
marriage. That was
Mm.
interesting. Of magic, and it's you create your own. So you don't have to follow somebody else's book. You don't have to do things their way,
Hmm.
and being afraid of magic is, that kind of definition that I gave you first, a magician's manual for invoking demons, like
Right.
grief. That's that takes you back to every horror movie ever, right? But
Yeah.
that it's basically a notebook. It's just you're
Yeah.
jotting down things that call to you, things that speak to you. What do you want to work with? Do you go to meditation? Are you a walk in nature person? Do you like to do things that involve water or plants or, crystals, or what? What are you drawn to? These are the notes you start to make, and things will become more clear as you make your notes. And you
Yeah.
start to practice then.
I'm glad you brought that up because you're right. Like just telling people to have a grimoire because like I said, right, we've been doing this for a long time. And I have for a long time understood that a grimoire is just the practitioner's notebook on what they've learned and
Right.
their observations on it. So for me, for decades, that's been the definition. I forget that there's all this negative view of these things still.
I can't imagine that in this day and age they still have that for a definition. I mean,
Yeah.
good grief, what is wrong with them? But but that is what they have.
Yeah. So it's so yes, start putting books aside for these observations.
If you can have a very special book for it, that would be really
Yes.
helpful too, because it when you see the book, it will set your mind in that direction, if you will. Like, I have
Yes.
one that has a leather cover, and of course there is an embossed dragon on the front,
Hmm.
because there would be. What else would I have?
Yeah.
Um, and it's even got these little clasps at the edge to
Oh,
close,
nice.
because I like that, and I bought it from the person who made it, and the pages were all blank for me to fill
Hmm.
in. So you make it special because it is part of the ritual. It's part of what you're going to be doing. Sometimes you're going to want to look up your notes and work from there.
Yeah.
Or you might find a spell that somebody else has put together, and if it calls to you, you might want to note it down and maybe see if it's appropriate for you at some point.
Yeah. And it's interesting, because I'll expand on what Michaela said. So you want something that captures your imagination. Again, I think we said this on the show a bunch of times, right? What more captures your focus and helps you be inspired works. And I'll give you kind of alternatives to having just a book. I've heard of, well, sorry, let's go this way. Look at mystical sites around the world. A lot of them are just giant mnemonic devices. You sit in a certain place, you see certain pictures. Ah, okay, that's what the meaning is. That brings out all the information, like a memory room. That theory of a memory room, for those who are familiar, where you build a house in your mind for your memory, and every room has a certain amount of information. And when you go into that room, all you're thinking about is that information. You could make something like that. You could have a bracelet, and every bead on your bracelet triggers memories. And you could put your notes like that. For those of you who like to really play and get really crafty, that's probably overdoing it, but part of this is really trying to capture your imagination. So if you can do all kinds of wild things that you enjoy, like really go for it.
Yeah, and don't limit yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you want to try the bead thing that Danielle just mentioned, then yeah, do it. Why not?
You can have a whole series of carvings on your wall, and that's your grimoire.
You can literally, this is a no rules thing per se, other than the things that you can't help but have a rule for, which is, the whole thing about clear intention
Yeah.
and muddy intention gets muddy results. That's just law of consequences. That is how it's going to go. And you can break the rule if you want, but the results will be as they will be. You can't change that. So, but other than that, what it looks like should be individual. It should be your own practice, and nobody else gets to tell you it's right or it's wrong.
Yeah, because right now, what amounts for grimoires for me is spiral notebooks.
There you go.
That's my current, those are my current grimoires.
It can be anything you want. I'm going to say, ideally, though, ideally, and this is
Right.
my lens, but ideally not the computer. Handwritten is much better because you have more of a natural connection, um, and hand drawn and so on.
Right.
It's
Well,
better
you
than
want a
using
full sensory
Canva
connection.
or
Yeah.
yeah, like
Full sensory input.
using tech to create this isn't it removes you from it, and that's exactly what you don't want to do.
Right.
So that's one
But it's
thing.
not to say that you can't do magic with tech, because you can.
You can, but it removes you from it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you're going for.
Yeah. When you're
If you
keeping
want that
notes to
level,
remind you, yeah.
if you want that level of removal,
Yeah.
then that's probably a path for you. But like I said in the beginning, it's my lens, and my lens
Yeah.
is that's not my
Hmm.
preference.
Yeah. But it is important to remember, right? The more immersed you are sensory wise, the more your connection is there, the more your subconscious, which is your connection between your conscious mind and your spiritual, or your conscious self and your spiritual self, the more you can engage it to make that path flow, the better it is. So that's why I usually, like I said, like we're saying, right? Whatever works for you works for you. Just keep in mind that the more you can be immersed into it, the better it'll work. And the clearer your intentions. We could do like 10 episodes on just being clear on your intentions and consequences of not being clear.
Yep.
But there's good and bad to that. Like you can have muddied intentions, and then it's just an opening for the spirits you're working with that have a bunch of other things to do. Go, I can use this opportunity to accomplish a number of things. Thank you for flipping the bill with your unclarity.
That's just a little too haphazard for me. And
Yeah.
with the way things are going now
Hmm.
in 2025, I personally would not feel okay to play with that. I think
Yeah.
you're courting all kinds of stuff to come in
Yes.
that you might
It,
not
it
want to have.
wasn't my intention to say that feel free to do it. It was just you may take on more than you bargained for, is what
Oh,
kind of was trying to say.
Yeah, I'm going to say you will take on more than you bargain for if you do that. There's too much there right now that's waiting for an opportunity.
Mm.
So be careful where you give your opportunities. That's really important. Yes.
That is something very important to consider because it's true. Just because new resources came into the world to use, it doesn't restrict who can use it and who can make use of the users.
Right.
It's just giving a greater opportunity because of things coming down the line. Here's now an extra set of tools that you can use to be prepared. But that's available for everyone. There's no discrimination in who it's released to.
Right.
Anyone who can access it, who can access it can access it. Doesn't matter if you agree with them or not, or even if Michaela and I agree with them or not.
This is true. This is true. One of the I wanted to say tricks, but it's not a trick. One of the paths to being really well connected into what you're doing, into what you want to do, just connecting you to the spiritual world around you, is meditation. Now, you hear that a lot, and probably visualize monks sitting in a lotus position,
Right.
going, but that's not it. It's anything that sort of gets your mind into a zone. So usually it's a repetitive behavior. You can do it if you're knitting, for example. If you can knit without looking at patterns, you can meditate doing that. If
Yes.
you can even something like sweeping the floor can be a meditation, or ironing clothes, if anybody listening still does that. It's
Mm.
it's a repetitive motion that you don't have to think about. And that can be a great way to put your mind at peace so that you're more available to connect. So consider where you can put that into your day. And it can be when you're out walking in nature too. Like you don't have to designate, oh, I'm going to sit in a lotus position for half an hour and, nobody talk or else.
Right.
The key to meditation is that you can do it anywhere, anytime, and people don't have to be quiet. You can do it in the midst of chaos because it's not about your environment,
Mhm.
it's you.
Yeah.
And that's something that will help in getting clear intention.
I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. Well, for the last few days, because I keep saying that your material body is like a virtual reality suit, right? And although you're focused on the material world, like spirits can still kind of poke and prod you through your VR suit, and you can still notice that. So basically, if you were to ask yourself, well, how do I get around my material VR suit and that material sensory input? Well, you turn inwards. You ignore everything that you recognize as the input from the material world and you put that aside. And then you look for what input doesn't match that. And then that's how you start to recognize the input from the spirit world instead of the material. So
You
meditation
have
is
to
important.
quiet, you have to quiet the noise.
Hmm.
And that's not by telling everybody to be quiet.
No.
Tempting though it is. I see those jokes about, everybody shut up. I'm trying to be Zen here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, the opposite of being Zen is telling everyone to shut up so you can be Zen.
exactly. And yes, it's funny, but at the same time, it's what a lot of people do. Hence the joke. So yeah, that's that's not what you need to do. It's just find something that's repetitive, that you don't have to think about and you can zone out.
Yeah. I'm kind of amused by us because even though this is kind of going to be an informative episode, we're still not sitting here like it's a lecture. We're still doing our jumping from topic to topic to topic.
I always do that though. I really can't not. So
Yeah. Well, as I was just noticing, it's like, yeah, I never thought we would like do a formal discussion on here's how you're supposed to do it. We're just going to talk and share stories about how doing it. Like even for this instance of meditating, right? Like a lot of times lately I get in my head, like you walk into a temple and you just see all these people sitting there kind of meditative and you're like, but they have smiles kind of a thing. And you're trying to figure out what's going on. But really, what's happening in the spiritual world is everyone's interconnecting and they're doing and they're interacting, and it's really a rich environment, but it doesn't look like it from the outside until you learn to connect into that world. And then you see everything
Right.
that's going on.
Well, you could compare that to virtual reality, actually.
Yeah.
Those VR headsets that you can wear.
Yes.
You're personally having a whole lot going on, and you might be in the middle of Call of Duty or goodness knows what,
Mm.
but nobody from outside can see that that's what you're experiencing, right?
Right.
And as far as your brain's concerned, you're in it, but nobody else could see that. So it's kind of like that, only hopefully more peaceful.
Yeah. So it's kind of like spiritual inception.
Yeah.
You're in your VR suit, and then you're going in a position to escape your VR suit to go to what looks like another alternate or another virtual reality internally. But really, you're kind of turning it outwards.
Okay. Did that just confuse everybody? Because it might have.
Yeah. But yeah, just think of it like an inner world inside an inner world inside an inner world. But really, what you're doing is looking outside and not realizing it.
Right. Actually, something that comes to me for the listener to consider as well is where do you get the information from that you don't know where it came from? Okay, let me explain that question a
Mhm.
little bit because it's like, wait, what did she just say? So sometimes you just know something. You might be a person who just knows stuff, but you can't say how you know it. Another person might get images, mental images of things, and you might not have the words for it, but you've certainly got the image, and perhaps somebody else can give you the words, or you may be somebody who gets the words, etc., etc. These are all the different clairs, clairaudience, clairvoyance, and so on. So chances are one of those or more is currently running for you. It's working, but you ignore it. So tuning into that by paying attention, how do you know what you can't explain? How do you know things that you can't say, I got it out of this book? Where did that come from? So, for example, I get a lot of images where I can tell a person, oh, I'm seeing this, and I can tell them the things, and it means nothing to me. I have no idea what this is. I'm just telling it to them. But typically they will respond with, oh wow, and they have something to attach those images to. Um, that's what works for me. Sometimes I'll get a word or I'll get a sentence. And again, I may or may not know what to do with it, but as long as I can find the person who it's for, we can get it where it's going. Um,
Right.
so what's yours? What have you got? Because everybody's got something going on. It's just you might not be paying attention.
And that's completely true. Yeah, it's time to pay attention to what's going on around you for sure. And as we've been saying for a bit, this is the best time to be you because this is the best time to let the magic find you at the same time as you're trying to find you.
Yeah. And find what you're going to do. A lot of people are looking for their purpose right now. Well, the purpose you thought you had before COVID has probably changed dramatically. The purpose you thought you had before the world went on fire, you probably have that changed too. And that is correct. That's what fire does, is it destroys in order to create the environment for rebirth or regrowth.
Yes.
Think of forest fires, you get regrowth afterwards. So, yeah, it's not fun. None of us would choose it, but we're here in it. So, what does your regrowth look like? Now is the time to find a different purpose. And that's probably a spiritual purpose. If you're listening to us right now, I'm going to say it's a spiritual purpose. Um, but for what? How are you channeling it? What are you doing? Typically, we're here to lift other people up by lifting up our own vibrations,
Right.
our own energies. Um, and you extend that to others. Running around telling everybody else, wake up, you got to see what's coming, etc., etc. Twaddle. You can't, it's not your place to wake anybody else up. It's not your business. But if you can lift them by lifting yourself, that is your business. So what does that look like for the individual listening? That
Yeah.
is our purpose. That's what human beings are. I mean, we are by nature designed that way in so many ways. We're social animals. Why are we social animals? Because we're here to help each other. At the very most basic level, we're here to help each other. And then when you move into spiritual levels, it's the same thing. We're here to help each other. And the way you do that is not yelling at everybody else or demanding that they see what you see, because, newsflash, we all have our own journeys. But just how can you be what you need to be? That's your purpose now.
Yeah. You know what? And that's a very, very good point. Like, again, because we're talking about witches and wizards. So even for magical collaboration, like not everyone is going to have the same magic, right? Not everyone is magics are even going to necessarily seem complementary on the get-go, but if you don't learn to cooperate with someone, magic you thought incompatible might actually work together. So it's important to pay attention. Like, and we can throw as an example what me and Michaela did. We had both essentially chaos and fire magic and wind and light, which basically is a more calmer kind of magic, unless the wind gets excited, but not quite two polar opposites, but they still merge together to create the magic we needed when we did the spell we did the other day.
You can't really hold all the elements in one
Right.
person, really. That's at least I don't think so. Maybe somebody can, but I'm not it.
Well, Michaela's experience of doing the spell was very different from my experience of doing the spell. So, although because we had to harmonize our energies for the spell to work, I had a sense of what Michaela was going through, even if I didn't have it exactly.
Yeah, mine was I think the listener can probably figure out I had the chaos and the fire.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's still rocking and rolling to a degree, but phew, thank goodness. It's less than it was because that was a lot to hold.
Yeah, it's funny, we should probably do, whereas we're not really allowed to give every detail of the spell. That's the message I'm getting. But we can talk about some of it. And some of it is it took 2 weeks to really do the whole spell from prepping the energy to actually the casting time.
Well, there was some
Like,
balancing that was required, right? There was a little
yeah,
bit of exchange in order to get the energies a little more, I don't want to say under control, but a little more um, workable.
yeah. So whereas that was a long spell to cast, technically, the actual part of formal casting was maybe, I didn't really keep track, 5, 10 minutes at most.
Yeah, don't know. I didn't keep track.
But the actual prep to get everything needed in place took at least 2 weeks. Like at least then it started to become noticeable that something was going on for the prep. So just for people listening, when you're don't don't try to come in this with preconceived notions of what magic there is or what magic can be like, because I wasn't expecting 2 weeks of prep.
Yeah, again, no
Yeah.
rules, right? Because we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And gosh, I've been doing this for a while, but I know nothing.
Yeah.
I'm right at the beginning as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure there are many people way ahead of me, but that's
Yeah.
okay. That's fine. I will always be a beginner in my entire life because there's so much more.
Right. And it kind of makes me think because the only thing you could really look for in the magic is are you compatible with it? Not is it compatible with you, but are you compatible? Because it's really important to actually think about it from that way.
Well, it kind of chooses you though.
Yeah. And that's
Like
what I
you
mean,
have
right?
to be prepared, I think, to go with what calls you, and you'll know. Like, are you? very fond of shiny rocks? Like are you drawn to crystals, or do they just like, yeah, that's pretty and whatever. I can never remember what it means, or that kind of thing. Maybe that doesn't call to you. Is there Do deities call to you? That can be possible. Could it be a Norse thing or
Hmm.
Celtic or there's any number of things. What do you gravitate toward? And how does that feel? Because chances are that will pull you in the right direction for what you need to work with. I don't choose fire and chaos. I assure you, I don't choose it. It chooses me. So
Yeah.
that's a whole other thing.
Trying to think of what movie quote that sounds like.
I have no idea, but
Oh,
I can assure you I would not
yeah.
choose chaos. It's a lot to handle.
I know there's the quote, I didn't choose the thug life chose me.
Oh, there you
But
go.
there's other ones like that. But although it doesn't make me think, yeah, so really the more, again, to repeat this message, the more true you are to yourself, the more the magic will be able to find you, work with you, and you'll be prepped for working with it. Like, I almost feel kind of it was almost unfair to do the spell with Michaela the way we did it because we were we didn't want to be in the way of it, so we were doing it, you know, whatever we need to do, we'll do. And so, because Michaela was more attuned to the chaos and the fire than I was, Michaela became the fire and the chaos. And I was more attuned to the wind and the light. So I got the wind and the light.
Yeah, you never can tell.
Yeah. I
Although I
mean,
got to say, I'm not surprised at what I got. I'm not surprised, but it is a lot. So when you're considering upping your game, if you will, if you're considering getting into magic more,
mm,
one of the things I want to mention is you really need to look after yourself. If you're not
yes,
doing it yet, start doing it. Looking after yourself by eating well, look after yourself by being very well hydrated. That is really important. I can't stress that one enough, actually. That alters the energy and everything. So
right.
be well hydrated. Um, I do know some witches who, they'll be smoking a joint while they
Mm,
do a spell. That is up to them. But I'm going to say look after yourself as best you can so that you're in good shape for whatever you get to deal with. Um, it's a good thing to do anyway, but it's important in this case.
yeah. Well, and to add to that, like once you make your connection, you may never lose your connection, but your ability to basically work with magic is affected by your health. If you
Mhm.
need to use your arms and you can't use your arms anymore, there goes your arm magic, right?
The other
Just
thing
to
is
oversimplify it.
if you're doing something that amplifies energies and
Mm,
you're coming from a place of poor nutrition and dehydration, well, I don't know if you want to amplify that, but it's
right.
it's going to give you some problems.
Hmm.
Um, and it also draws from you, not in a way that you crumple in a heap
Right.
or anything like that, but your energy is drawn. There's some is used in that way, so you better have it to give it, kind of.
Right.
And if you're not looking after yourself, then you're starting from a deficit, and I don't recommend starting from a deficit. So now is a really good time to start
Right.
taking care of yourself and make sure you get enough sleep, because I
Mm,
assure you, you're gonna get some wicked nightmares. Not
mm,
just nightmares, but lucid dreams. And the
yes.
lucid dreams are quite wild. um, yeah, you can end up waking up quite shattered from those. So stuff will start happening.
Yeah.
So get your sleep sorted out.
This is good. You know what? Yes, your health is actually a good point brought up because your mental health and your physical health are very, very important. Not like the healthier your cells are, the more energy you can process. That's just natural, right? And some people may not know this, but the healthier your cells are, just to give you an idea, the more photons they give off. You can actually scan for someone's health by seeing how much light your cells give off. I don't know if it's used in mainstream practice, but I've heard about it. I've heard about this like 20 years ago, the discussion of your body giving off photons. And it was used, I can't remember, I can't remember where that started from because I didn't take notes about it. I just thought it was an interesting thing to know and
Your
to
aura,
realize. But this works spiritually too. The more your cells can retain, is the healthier they are, the more they can retain.
your magnetic aura
Mm.
is, it's not woo, it's not,
Right.
the realms of magic. It's
Mm.
actually absolutely proven by science. You can see
Mm.
it. They can scan you and you can see it. And
Right.
the vibrancy of your aura will reflect your health. That's been
Yes.
shown time and time again. So that's probably the same thing that you're talking about. But
Mhm.
um, so that indicates to you that, if you're feeling subpar, if you're treating yourself in a less than healthy way, then you might want to hold off on the magic. It's not to say you can't do it, it's just to say that you'll be taking a toll on yourself from a place of deficit, and that's not ideal. But
Right.
hey, you do you.
Right. And psychologically, right? You don't want to be up all the time with nightmares and confusing visions that you don't understand or you can't process because you're letting your mind run away on you, or you keep re-traumatizing yourself because you're not prepared.
Or just totally psychedelic stuff too, because
Yeah.
some of those lucid dreams are hard to articulate, let alone understand. Um, yes. So you can't see the faces I'm pulling right now, but I've had some doozies lately. Um, so looking after yourself is important. Give yourself the best shot of enjoying the ride, right? Because I
Yes.
don't want to make it sound like this is tough and horrible and grr and all of that. Of course it isn't. It's again what you put into it, right? If you go in with a sort of this is going to be awful, then well, okay, be careful what you amplify. But it's
Hmm.
it's not the point. It's not the um, intention of most of us to have that kind of experience. But there will be things that come up that are just they leave you wondering what what blue places was that? Where did that come from? Whew. Um,
Hmm.
but it's okay. Just start off from a good place.
It makes me think of, so because magic requires a spirit to function on your behalf to do the work, consider being healthy and being of a good mind as conducive to a good relationship. Like if you're not being selfish in a relationship, then you want to be healthy and you want to be of a good mind so that you're a good partner for the person you're in a relationship with. You can look at it the same way here. If you want to practice magic and you want to do a good job of it and you want to be a good partner in magic to the spirit that's working with you, or the spirits plural, because you can work with a whole bunch, then you do want to keep yourself healthy. You do want to keep your mind as sharp as possible, as clear as possible, as quick and all that stuff, so that the experience is pleasant for both of you. Good relationships build good connections, build good networks, build all the good things in life.
And
So,
it gives you
yeah,
less stuff to wade through, right? You can
right.
just get straight to um the heart of the matter, if you will.
Hmm.
But whatever that is for you. But spells can also be quite small, if you will, just something to lighten your load that day so that you can do certain things. Like there's lots of different spells that you can do. They don't have to all be gate opening big
Yeah.
events. Um, sometimes a spell for clarity. And one
Hmm.
of the most popular ones I see in any witchcraft group at all is the prosperity spell or the money spell at the beginning of the month. Like that's,
Right.
oh boy, there are thousands and thousands of people doing that every month. Does it work? Well, ask the individuals. Depends on what
Yeah.
they're looking for when you ask for abundance, right? You got to be clear on what you mean by that. Um, but yeah, so not everything has to be big. Maybe you want to start small, but still start looking after yourself too. It's just a good practice to be in.
Yeah. All right. Pausing for a second, but there's more. What can So health is absolutely important. Your connections with the spirits you work with is important. Being who you are is absolutely important. Being curious is absolutely important.
How about exploring where your fears come from and shadow side? Because we mentioned
Yes.
shadow before, um,
Hmm.
and people's response very often is to say, "Yeah, I'm going to ignore that bit. You know, I'm not going to go there because that looks sort of dark and uncomfortable, and I don't think I will." But just like you have to have night in order to appreciate day,
Yes.
you have to have shadows. That part of you is as important as any other part, and it needs work. You need to work with your shadow self as well as your lighter self, if you will, because there's value to be found in both sides. So exploring that shadow side means you're probably going to look at some attributes that you'd rather not have, if you're honest with yourself. And we all do that. Like that's called being human. If you think that you don't have a shadow side, you have some work to do, my friend. And a lot of
Right.
that would be on the shadow side because you've been ignoring it. Um, because we all have them.
Yes, we absolutely do. And it's very, again, I can't stress enough, make sure you're as clear as you can be when you do these things.
And be
You know,
prepared. You might not
and
like everything you might not like everything you learn about yourself, and that's perfectly
right.
okay. Doesn't mean anything other than you just discovered something and now you get to work with it.
Hmm. You know, I don't know why this comes to mind, but honor your shadow side.
Yeah.
Honor what you picked up because odds are that happened and it gave you a chance to survive or it gave you a chance to move to a new opportunity that you might not have moved to without your shadow side. So honor it. Get to know it so that you know when it might appear or what might happen as consequences or how you might react to things,
Or what you
which,
could do with it.
yes.
What you can do with it, because we get all kinds of experiences that shape us, and
Hmm.
those things that you try and hide in the cupboard and pretend didn't happen or don't exist or whatever, they probably gave you strength and attributes that get you through life. So can you go there and see what else is available that you can use? Just
Yes.
because a thing happened, it means nothing other than a thing happened. The question is, are you using what came from it? Or are you pretending it doesn't exist? And I know which one I think is most beneficial, and it's the
Mm.
pretending it doesn't exist.
Yes, it's funny because and rightfully, we are getting into these topics because they are important. Like anyone who's had a magical practice for a while has pretty much probably been put through, looking at their shadow side, put through facing their misconceptions or their biases, you know. And the more you fought yourself, the harder it was to do those things. So you might as well so we'll just throw the advice out there if you want to have the smoothest transition as possible, which may not work for you, but if you want it, get your ducks in a row.
Yeah. And I mean, just accept that there are some aspects of you, how you show up, that are less than stellar. And that's fine because, like I said, absolutely every single human being on this planet has that. That's part of the makeup. That's what we have. It's what we come with. The issue has been that human beings have decided that this part of you is acceptable and that part of you isn't. But you need to embrace the whole. And saying that one part is unworthy and needs to be locked in a cupboard, and you only show the shiny side kind of thing, that is very one dimensional, and it's inaccurate. You're missing some important information from there. There are holes that aren't aren't going to get you where you want to be very quickly. You got to plug up those holes by finding out what are those things, because also you can sabotage yourself with this
Mhm.
shadow side particularly if you don't acknowledge its existence. Do you think it's going to accept that you don't acknowledge it? No, it's going to come up and bite you. So, make friends with your demons.
Yes. I, I'm getting this repetitive imagery of enjoying self-discovery.
Mhm.
Now is the time if you haven't done it, if you haven't been kind of prompted even in January to start doing it. Just even if right now you have no intention of magic, even if right now you have no intention of any of these things, but you're just finding yourself awakening and you just want a basic understanding, just start enjoying self-discovery.
Yeah. And by the way, as this is being put out in March, now we're getting to New Year.
Mm.
Now, as things turn green and start growing, that's New Year. The thing
Yes.
in end of December, beginning of January, I'm not actually sure where that came from. I suspect it was a religion-based thing, but it's not the natural order of things. It's not really New Year. So now you can be prepared for your New Year. New Year, right?
Yep.
But that doesn't involve resolutions. That involves, intention and going with the rising energy, because now is when energy is coming up literally from the earth and charging everything around it. So you can go with it or you can, miss the boat.
Absolutely. Nope, still not the end.
Okay.
There's moments there that felt like the end of the episode, but it's just there's something we're not talking about that we need to talk about. Well, okay, let's do it like this. So in the practical instruction part, so Michaela and I both had a very different experience with the spell that we cast. Michaela had more of a aggressive, chaotic version, and I had more of a, I mean, the wind is still chaotic, but I was also deeper in tune to people and their pains. And I'm not gonna lie, as sympathetic as a person as I am, I'm glad the spell is over and I'm glad we harmonized what we needed to do and all that. But this is something to be considered. The forces you'll be working with also have emotions that come with them, also have reactions that you'll have to it. So it is absolutely important to know who you are. Because I'm sure if Michaela didn't have experience, there'd be a trail of people very, very angry with Michaela right now.
Yeah, very possible. Whereas actually what I've been getting is a lot of opportunities coming my way, thick and fast. And I, in fact, somebody messaged me today to say, "So, how are you doing?" And I could tell it was a business question. And I said, "Well, funnily enough, I have more than I can handle right now. So, thank you. No,
Yeah,
um, you know, whatever you have, I don't have room for it because I just don't." And that's something that I wouldn't have expected this time yesterday. Or maybe I would just about this time yesterday when we did the spell. But
right.
yeah, it all started just firing up literally to that. Whew, which was not expected. But I try not to have expectations of how things are going to go. It's a waste of energy and it's a waste of focus.
Right.
I just, you know, accept it is what it is. Let's see what that is.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because like I think not everyone feels the magic they do.
Right. Well, it's all to do with how in touch you are, which is why I
Right.
mentioned the meditation earlier on, and people having various clairs, the clairaudience, clairvoyance, and so
Mm,
on, and they have them, they just don't realize because they've been ignoring it. Same with intuition. Everybody has intuition. They do, but we're taught not to listen to it.
right.
And there's a fear that comes up when you start learning to listen to your intuition because you've been told as kids, that doesn't make sense. Do what I'm telling you, and so on. And your inner knowing, aka intuition,
Mm,
gets squashed. And that little voice is still there, but you're so used to not listening to it that it's scary to listen to something that goes against what other people are saying. We tend to
Yeah.
listen to people rather than ourselves, and that is a fundamental mistake of human beings.
And even from the non-magical perspective, you spend your whole life learning skills and picking them up and then teaching your subconscious how to do them so that it can do them on autopilot and you can be on autopilot to do them. So you're literally having spent all this time to train your subconscious, your intuition, basically, to recognize and see things. And then it's like, well, we've done all this work and now I'm ignoring you.
Well, the
Mm.
intuition is the oldest power, if you will, that we
Right.
have. It comes from a human design perspective,
Mm.
it's in your spleen, which is the oldest center, and it's that one-time voice. It doesn't give you a second opinion, it tells it to you one time. And it's that thing that if you're about to walk down a dark alleyway at 3 o'clock in the morning, just think about that for a second, and that feeling that comes up of, oh no, don't do that. That feeling that you just had, if you can go there in your mind, I'm about to walk down this dark alleyway. The shadows, I can't see clearly, but hey, it's a good idea because I can climb the wall the other end and get out of here.
Mm.
But there is something screaming at you not to do this. That is your intuition.
Mm.
So in a circumstance like that, it's really easy to see, oh yeah, I remember that feeling. Or that time where you did a thing and you knew you shouldn't do it. And as soon as you've done the thing, you say to yourself, oh man, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Okay, that was your intuition you ignored.
Mm.
That's These are the examples of intuition when it's warning you. The positive is a little harder to pick up, which is why I start with the
Yeah.
the warnings. But anybody can learn to listen to their intuition. It is there. So that might even be a good starting place. Start
Mm.
working with that. And then when you get used to the fact that, oh yeah, I do have stuff I can do that I've been squashing. Okay, cool. Now, do you get words? Do you get images? You mentioned images just a few moments ago.
Mm.
You get this image of, um, what was it? Because that just went out of my brain. But you were getting an image of enjoying the process or
Yeah.
something along those lines, right?
Yeah. Enjoy self-discovery.
Enjoy self-discovery. So you get this image. I get a mix of words and images, but not together. And some people hear something. I feel for them. That's a tough place to be because, people will very quickly say you're completely nuts.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a hard one. But, you can become more attuned to listening to yourself.
Yeah. So I see and feel.
Okay.
So like, and right now, and because it amuses me, what I'm seeing and feeling is a bunch of spirits reaching out of devices, computers, mobile devices, and stuff like that, and grabbing onto the person next to me, going, "Listen, I'm here. Come on, get it in gear."
Okay. Hence what you were saying earlier about tech,
Yeah,
that it can be a process. See, for you, that might be a good path. Whereas I tend to err on the side of fire, so it's probably not the best path for
yeah.
me.
Well, I mean, my example I gave to Michaela earlier when she asked me how it was like for me after the spell, I had said I was watching a show on Netflix and on an Apple TV, and I clicked the remote to step back 10 seconds to because I didn't understand what the person had said, and when I did that, the uh, the captions came on. And then when I read what I needed, then the captions went away. So it was like as if my intention to have the caption come on when I queued backwards got activated, be it magical or it's a feature. I couldn't find it as a feature anywhere, but if it's documented anywhere that that's a feature of the thing, but just that incredibly synchronistic moment of me getting to read just what I needed to know, and then the captions went off again.
Ah, synchronicities.
Yeah.
That's something that I think we've mentioned it before on a few
Yes.
podcasts, but it's always worth mentioning again. Look for the synchronicities because that's also giving you a pattern that can guide you to what you need to be doing. When we're talking about purpose, when we're talking about direction, the synchronicities. are amazing to see. You might call it coincidence. It's not a coincidence. Those things aren't a thing, but synchronicities are. And once you start seeing them, you can't unsee them. So
Yes.
you will pick them up easily once you learn how to see them. So
Yeah.
that's a really fun trick to do. I mean, holy smokes. There was I'm not going to go into detail on here, but there was a particular coven I've been thinking about for
Mhm.
a week,
Oh, yes.
a few weeks now, and I was thinking, I wonder if they're going to contact me because there's a thing they do that I want to do. And right after we had completed what we were doing
Mhm.
yesterday, they contacted me. It's like, okay, there's my
Mhm.
synchronicity. Thank you. That was awesome. I couldn't predict that that would happen at that moment, that day, or even this month, but there
Right.
they were. So how cool was that?
Yeah. You know,
Synchronicities.
I kind of want to explore that sense, that vision feeling I had. So part of it was the listeners to this podcast. But a part of it is right now because so many people are on devices and their attention is taken away. It's part of, okay, listen, it's time to pay attention to this magical world around you. You're connected to it. So it's not, it wasn't like, yeah. And there is actually, all right, I'm in this mode now. I got it. We're in a flow here. So I've discussed techno-paganism before. I don't know if it's called that anymore because now everyone's on their computers, so it's not new like it was in the 90s where people started getting this culture of being online. But I've had experiences where uh, the internet can be a great conduit for spiritual energy. I've opened emails from people where it's just like I get a full blast of the emotion that the person was having when they wrote the email down. And I've
Wow.
even felt the connection while I was looking at a person through a screen and you could just feel the energy flowing out of the screen. So now, whether or not it actually went through all of the communication network or not, that was the focal point for its release. But like I said, so you can bundle it in a packet and send it over the internet,
Interesting.
basically. Yeah. It's a very interesting thing, but there's a lot of quantum interactions happening on the internet, for communication and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be actually, who know what? Maybe there's a new version of techno-paganism coming out where people are doing magic quite literally through apps. But there's still an investment from the person who their intention is still needs to be invested. Their personal energy is still invested. It's not that the computer's generating the energy needed to do the spell. It's the people, again, who are with their intentions, they're parceling it. So it's just another conduit. It's another medium to focus your energy into.
Interesting. So the person listening, please be careful where you say that because we get moms in Texas who lose the plot over movies like Hocus Pocus because spells
Yes.
are going to come through the TV screen and do things to their kids. That
Yeah.
that's not
Now that you say it,
what we're
yes.
saying. Yeah, that's not what to take from this, ideally. But be careful where you say such things because people are very quick to misconstrue. And these days, there's very little thought and an awful lot of reaction, um,
Yes.
which is deeply, deeply unfortunate. And it's up to those people who are aware of this to not do it and again be the vibe that raises other people, if you will. Again, not by telling them they have to do anything, because that never
Right.
worked in the history of ever. You can't do that. You can't tell somebody else how they need to be or what they need to do, which is why we put out a lot of sort of things that we've experienced or
Mm.
suggestions, thoughts, ideas, but no sort of dictating of, you must do this, you must do that. I wouldn't dream of telling somebody else that they have to wake up or else kind of thing. Wake up to what? I don't know. I have
Yeah.
no idea where they are on their journey, so I couldn't possibly be so arrogant as to tell them what they need to do. I have no idea.
Yeah, and it's funny because I find when I'm teaching someone something, I usually start with the word I suggest
Right.
instead of you have to do this. It's like, well, I suggest you try this.
Or, I offer you this, you
Yeah.
could consider that. These
Mhm.
are all words. Insert that into anything you listen to from Danielle Leray,
Yeah.
because that is our intention, is that you have offerings. You've got a salad on your
Right.
plate. Pick what you want to eat,
Yeah.
if any of it.
Yeah. I mean, I learned it because once again, I have a club foot, so I can't do everything like everyone else does. I have to kind of modify what everyone tells me and make it work for me in a very obvious like way. So it's like, oh, well, this might extend to other people, you
Right.
know? And it helps that when I was learning martial arts, I had a teacher who followed that philosophy of what as well. He would tell us, okay, we're going to show you a certain way because we want you to do that when we test you so that we can give you your belt and do that whole thing. But your body's going to tell you what it needs. We're going to show you what we want you to do, but your body is going to adapt it to its needs.
Right.
And so that was a reinforcement of what I was already doing. So I was like, yeah, why would I tell someone you have to do this when, listen, try this and see how your body reacts to it or what it does with it or what you do with it. And then whatever you can assimilate it to yourself.
So, yeah. So a takeaway from this too is,
Mm,
don't shoot on yourself. Like, don't have these hard and fast rules that I got to do this and I got to
mm,
do that. I know some practitioners who do get into that, and if that kind of degree of routine works for you, then okay. But if it's limiting you, if it feels restrictive, then don't do it. Don't only do it if it works for you, but if it hinders you, then know that you have options.
yeah. Trying to think what else there is. There's still more stuff. Maybe I'm trying to
Okay.
control the flow too much.
Maybe the more stuff is next time.
Yeah,
'Cause
maybe.
what I'm getting is a loop. If we keep going, we'll be looping.
Yeah. And it's funny. Michaela can probably attest to this. When we decided to switch to season 4, there was a whole thing of, what we're doing right now? We're stopping that. We got to move to the next thing. We got to do something different. And that's why we did the spell we did because that was part of moving to the new thing.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. If we're moving into a new world where being yourself is very important, and it's very important from a mystical, spiritual perspective, given human design 2027, and that, then it makes sense that at some point we're going to be doing something more practical on the podcast.
Yep.
And it started.
Yep.
So take your notes, have your grimoires, however you would like them, or following with what we said, whatever helps you focus and learn and remember what you need. Do you. Do your way.
Yep. It's like a magical vision board.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yes. And then there we go. And that, well, obviously your assignment's built in, so we don't have to add one.
Right?
And you know what? I look forward to seeing what comes for you guys. We have there's the email, thinklikeawizard@gmail.com. There's the subreddit, Think Like a Wizard. There's If you look at our profiles online, you can search me and Michaela up, you can find us. And because this is going to be interesting going forward. And you know what? This is where it comes time to build a community and start swapping stories and seeing what happened to you, what someone else is doing, get inspiration from each other.
Actually, that was it.
Yeah.
So, if the listener is interested in creating with us a community, then let us know.
And you can't see it, but Michaela was doing the hand gestures I was doing a while back, and I was trying to figure out where's this coming from. But she was basically making two rings locked together, talking about
I was, and
community.
I had no idea why I was doing
Yeah.
that, and I'm still kind of doing it actually.
Yeah. when I first mentioned to you, that's what I was doing. I was trying to
Ah,
figure out, is this a mudra? Is it something else? But I kept having my fingers locked like this, and I was pulling against it to see if it was secure. And I just kept doing it over and over and over again.
interesting. Well, there
So,
you go. So that was the point.
mm,
Community.
yeah. Well, I'll throw it out there. You and I need a certain amount of synchronicity because of what we're doing going forward.
Yes.
And we had a certain amount of synchronicity when we cast that spell.
Yes.
So I was very well aware of the fire and the chaos going on in you. So,
Yes.
which was also part of the whole doing because to let listeners know, right? We did what I ended up calling a magic of scales and feathers. Scales for dragons, feathers for angels. And so Michaela was channeling dragon energy and I was channeling angel energy. And part of the whole angel shtick is to be there to feel people. So it was fun. I don't know whose turn it is next time to come up with the spell, but we'll leave that for when it happens.
Mhm.
But Michaela will be having a more proactive role in this. It won't
Sounds
just be
good.
me dragging Michaela around to see what happens. All right. So I'm Daniel Dubois.
I'm Michaela Gaffinstone.
Until next time.
Until next time.